Arsenal have been humiliated by Newcastle United once again. It's not the first time we have seen this happen. I'm literally watching right now as the Newcastle fans rejoice getting to another Carabao Cup final. Now, they've been to a Carabao Cup final before against Manchester United 2 seasons ago. And if you guys do remember, about a month ago on SDS Extra, we did a Carabao Cup semi-final prediction. And out of the 4 people on the table, the only person to predict Newcastle to go through was me. And it was because of what I've seen from this fixture in the past. And what that is men against boys. I have to be honest and I have to be brutal in my assessment of this game here. Arsenal were completely brutalised. They were bullied. They didn't know how to react. They didn't know how to deal with the pressure that Newcastle were putting them under. Obviously, there was a big chance before the first goal. There was obviously the offside goal early on that Isak was just a shade offside. But this is what the plan was for Newcastle. Sit in their shape, their 5-4-1, be disciplined in their mid-block, and hit Arsenal in transition with lethal precision. And they did that in the first offside goal. They did it again in that first actual goal that was allowed. With Isak, it looked as though Saliba had mistimed it, but if you watch it again, and I'm sure some of you guys would have seen this on Twitter, on X, Isak actually gets a flick on that gets to Gordon. Gordon, it looks like, tries to switch the ball to the other side to Murphy. Isak intercepts and hits a shot that is absurd. The physics of the shot is absurd. For him to hit a shot on his left foot with that level of power at the same time as getting the bend that is necessary is ridiculous. Like, it is really ridiculous. It's a joke of a technique, and it only deserves plaudits for how incredible Isak's been this season. Genuinely, for me, I look at it and I think he's one of the best performing strikers in all of Europe. I don't think that can be denied at this point in time. The way that this Newcastle team play, the passion in which they approach games of football, the intensity and the application is just fantastic. They reach another Carabao Cup final, and one that is really pivotal for their project in general, because they know that they have weapons that can go toe-to-toe with any team in the Premier League. And arguably, they do well in Europe, I think, as well, with that, the potency of that front line and the balance of their midfield when fully fit. Because we cannot deny, this wasn't their strongest team. If it was up to them, they wouldn't be playing a back five. But the lack of Joe Linton is a huge loss for them in midfield in terms of physicality and all of these attributes we mentioned so far. A couple of weeks ago on SDS as well, I also harked at a couple of teams in the Premier League that have this level of just their base level, their physical floor in which they approach games of football in the Premier League. Their physicality in which they approach these games is impeccable. And arguably the top of that chain and the top of that list is Newcastle United. They deserve loads of credit. Now, if we turn our attention to Arsenal, I think Saliba at points was lost at sea. He was completely lost at sea. He did, it's not usually what you expect from him. He's a cool customer, usually, under intense pressure. But that atmosphere at St. James's Park is no joke. And Arsenal have learned that in the past, and they learned that again tonight. And that is something that they're going to have to find a solution to how they actually counter that problem. Because St. James's Park is somewhere they're going to have to go to in the future as well. But they just seem toothless there. And that has to be because, and the credit of that has to go to Eddie Howe and his team. And the way they set this team up. But yeah, Saliba looked lost at sea. It was a really toothless performance. But it must be said, in previous games that Arsenal played against Newcastle, even in that first leg, Arsenal might come out there and look at the underlying statistics, the XG and the shots on target and all this kind of stuff. These things don't matter in cup competitions. The question has to be asked, is Arsenal's season over? My last YouTube video that was posted on here posed that exact same question. I don't think they win the Premier League title the way it's going right now, and I'm not sure they have what it takes to win the Champions League, especially if you are drawn with teams who are able to sit in a mid-block and kill you in transition. If Arsenal come up against an Inter Milan, who, as we saw when they played them in the group stage, more than happy to soak up the pressure, more than happy to sit in their mid to low block. They come against an Atletico Madrid, teams that are historically known for being there to spoil the party for the teams that love to play intricate pieces of football. And Arsenal did play some good stuff at times in that first half, but to what avail? It didn't get anything for them. I know Odegaard hit the post And obviously that was a huge chance and a huge turning point for Arsenal in that game. But there lies the question once again. Will this be another trophyless season for Mikel Arteta in what is, I don't know if we're calling it phase 4, 5 or 6. I'm not sure what phase it is right now. But if this is another trophyless season at this point in time, then that's very, very tough to take for Arsenal fans. And I really do want to hear what the Arsenal fans say in the comments down below, because you going with a clean sheet in both legs, both home and away. Newcastle beat you 2-0. In a cup competition, obviously, the copium for these Arsenal fans might be that it's not the major trophies that they are aiming for. But a trophy's a trophy at the end of the day. And this Arteta project, this process, has been lacking trophies. There's no denying that. So they've had to obviously tackle that, and they haven't done that in this competition here. Obviously, Manchester United knocked them out of the FA Cup as well, so they're only in the major ones now. Yeah, Liverpool are in the driver's seat, like I was saying, in the Premier League, and one of the favourites in the Champions League amongst other teams in Europe. That's just the reality of where this is at right now for Arsenal Football Club. It's a struggle for them to have to go this far without actually seeing anything for their dues. They are a team that's competing at the top level in England, at the top level in Europe as well. But without those important key trophies, does it feel like these are so many years that have been wasted rather than them taking advantage of this current situation? Couple of key performers that I have to mention. Another thing I mentioned on the SDS Extra episode where I predicted Newcastle to go through in this tie is that Jacob Murphy is so important. He's not the same Jacob Murphy that was being benched for Almiron those seasons ago. He has become a pivotal part of that attack and deserves a lot of flowers and a lot of plaudits for what he's done for this team. He provides that balance on the right-hand side and ended up scoring that first goal just because he has a smell for this. He has a smell of where to be, smell of the right way of pass that Isak wants. And we saw highlights of that before this game started. His understanding and his appreciation for his passes and his decision-making is very, very severely underrated. And he deserves a lot of plaudits. Kieran Trippier played today. And Kieran Trippier wouldn't have been expected to play with Tino Livramento being available. But he done a fantastic job on that side there. I have to be honest, Martinelli, Havertz, not good enough. Trossard, Odegaard, not good enough. Declan Rice struggled in this game. The intensity of the pressure was clearly getting to him. Thomas Partey, barely nothing in that game as well. It wasn't good enough from Arsenal. They were completely bullied and bamboozled. And big inquiries are necessary. So let's see if those inquiries happen. What the outcome of those inquiries are. We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. What does this mean for Arsenal Football Club? What does that mean for the Carabao Cup final? I've obviously said my predictions in that said video. I want you guys to get your predictions down below as well. Who do you think is going to win this Carabao Cup final? Do Liverpool best Tottenham, or do they hold on to their 1-goal advantage? And who wins in the final at Wembley? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. And I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.